Welcome back to another episode of CAPSOFF presented by the Game Day. We got a crazy booking today, but before we get into it, Matan's not here. He's battling a little bit of food poisoning, so we're going to be without Matan.
Why would you eat leftover sushi?
Well, because it's leftovers, and he's staying true to his.
That's exactly
his
why you
heritage.
don't, though. It's sushi.
It's
I agree with
sushi,
you.
bro.
I don't
Leftover
do it,
raw fish, you just don't do.
Yeah,
just
that,
can't do it.
that makes sense.
Why don't we introduce our guest then?
Yeah, let's introduce our guest. So
Have his feelings
today we
on
got
leftover sushi.
Yeah. Today we got a special guest, none other than TikTok's #1 NFL creator in Kevin Walsh. So Kevin, welcome to CAPSOFF. Welcome to the show. Happy to have you.
Thanks, guys, for having me on. I appreciate it. You got some of the best personalities in the game, so I'm ready. I'm ready to talk some football. TikTok, man. I'm a TikToker, NFL TikToker, but I'm ready to talk with some of the best debaters in the game.
Best debaters.
Best debaters.
That's
Wow,
the greatest intro
I'm a
we've ever
master
had.
bro, I'm a master debater, no doubt about it.
Nah, he's lying so hard on our name, but it's okay. Kevin, how do you feel about leftover sushi, bro?
Leftover sushi. To be honest, I'm not even a sushi guy, so I can't even speak
Good
on it.
man.
Wait, what?
No, sushi's overrated, bro.
Sushi's
I
so
feel like
underrated.
Kevin, you're in Ohio, right? I feel like they don't do sushi in Ohio.
Yeah, no, sushi, I don't know. It's just okay.
It's more like a coastal thing.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good when you get really good sushi, but really shitty sushi, you go feel like shit.
Yeah, no, I only have like high-end
You
sushi,
go get
definitely.
you go get your
from the
Walmart,
grocery store.
your Great Value brand.
I'm
sushi.
still hung up on the
sushi?
I'm
Ew.
just
I did it once. It's
I'm
just
hung up on the fact that you just said it's overrated or made
is
or whatever you
overrated.
say. That's crazy.
Sushi's not overrated.
It's super.
But Kevin, if for people that are listening, if anyone is listening, tell them a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got into it and being a creator and where you're at right now.
Yeah, so I am still in college right now, actually. I'm finishing up here at Ohio State. So
let's go
like
Bucks.
I mentioned,
Wait.
Ohio. Go Bucks.
oh,
let's
let's
go.
go.
I.O. There we go. Ohio State Buckeye in the building. But I started making videos a few years ago while I was a freshman in college. And there was a little bit of an opportunity on TikTok. But people at the time were just making dancing videos, and sports was not as common on the app. So I feel like I definitely took advantage of the first mover advantage on the app. And I'll be honest, my videos were trash at the time. I look back, I can't even watch the old videos right now, but I'm just happy I started because you got to really just put yourself out there. But the last few years, I've just been trying to talk football. I've really been able to enjoy it, just talking football and trying to spread as much value as I can, entertainment, share my opinion, all that stuff. But it's been really fun, and I feel like I'm still just breaking into the industry, but it's been a really good time.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're super humble for someone that has 850,000 followers on TikTok. That's a lot of fucking people.
It is a lot of people. Sometimes when I go to the NFL games, I'm like, man, like this is 1/8 of my audience, and it's kind of like, what the heck? It doesn't make a ton of sense, but
That's crazy.
Sometimes I like to give myself a little reality check, pinch myself a little bit, and understand how many people are really watching these videos because being able to meet people who recognize me and things like that, that's when it really means the most. And I can really kind of take somebody who's a fan and realize it's a real person rather than just a number. But obviously we're on the road to 1 million. You got to reach that 1 million because that'd definitely be one of my goals.
What was your first video that like popped off that you remember?
So the first video that popped off, it hit like 9 million, which was like my biggest outlier by far. It was a video, I don't know if you guys remember, but Tyreek Hill had the glove that had the peace sign on it.
Yeah.
Because he originally got fined for throwing up the peace sign,
Right,
so he made
right.
the glove with the peace sign. So the whole hook of it was like Tyreek Hill's trolling the NFL, and it was just about how Tyreek was pretty much just doing a subtle FU to the league and throwing up his peace sign open hand as he crossed the goal line. People love that video. I think it was something they didn't really realize, and people just found it really funny.
Yeah, that was actually an awesome moment. I love that.
All right, so Kevin, what's the end goal?
What's the what?
What's the goal? What's the end goal?
I thought you said angle.
With everything
Yeah,
you're
What's
doing
the
right
goal?
I'm like, what's the angle?
I don't really know what the goal is. I think the goal is I really do enjoy doing a lot of experiences like at games and getting involved with the league. I definitely find football is my sole focus. I really don't have a ton of interest talking about things outside of football when it comes to my sports lens, but I'd like to have a platform to continue to share my opinion on the league and share my thoughts around what's happening. not as I would like to stray away a little more from being a news provider and a little bit more on getting into kind of what you guys are doing and sharing my thoughts and actually having more of an opinion in the league. But I think the goal is actually just to be able to work in sports and work in football my whole life, because I think that to me, I don't ever feel like I'm working a day if I'm talking about football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it really
well,
does.
we're gonna give him a platform.
Yeah,
to
I was
give
gonna
some
say
opinion
this,
right now,
this is the right integration then, because this is I feel like we're super opinionated, almost too opinionated.
Oh, way too opinionated.
We're completely
And
subjective.
we're really dumb too.
Yeah,
so
we're
it's good
stupid.
to bring a smart opinion.
Yeah, someone that knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are big football minds. I just kind of talk and hope something sticks, man. At some point, like, so we'll see.
I don't know about that, but yeah. So today's our Wednesday episode in the cafeteria, we like to call it, as Jack came up with.
I actually
came up with that.
Oh, Jack,
I came up with that.
You came up
and
with
Jack hated it, and you loved it.
I'm gonna be honest. I kind of like it now.
Yeah, I know you
I've
do.
come around on it.
Yeah.
It used to suck.
So yeah, this is our cafeteria episode, as if like you're sitting in a cafeteria on those little benches, and we're gonna run through some factor caps. We're gonna get Kevin's some hot takes, as we like to do, and kind of just see where the conversation goes. I know we got a couple good questions that we came up with.
We do.
So many.
Should we start it off with a factor cap?
Let's go.
All right, factor cap. Aaron Rodgers on the Niners makes them an automatic Super Bowl favorite.
It makes them the best team ever.
So it's a fact?
Facts. Yeah. Easy.
Yeah.
Kevin, what do you think?
Oh, that's fact for sure. That roster's already stacked. If you throw Rodgers in there with Shanahan, dude, I can't even imagine that offense. It would be so lethal.
Bro, you
Aaron
could
Rodgers
probably
is
lead him
picking
to a
guys
playoff
apart.
win. Like, honestly.
Well, we saw it with Purdy. You know, Purdy walks in there and can't even lose a game. If you throw Rodgers in there, who knows how to win? Fact.
It's over.
Well, I think what people forget about the Aaron Rodgers potential Niners talk is that 2 years ago, before they traded for before they drafted Trey Lance, I should say, on draft day, they called to get Aaron Rodgers, and the Packers turned them down. So now you have it 2 years later, them revisiting that and kind of being a sleeper team, because you have the Jets almost playing, or really the Packers playing hardball in this instance. So what are the chances even that Aaron Rodgers could be a 49er, I guess?
It's slim, I feel like.
Yeah, it's slim, but as this thing with the Jets keeps taking longer and longer, it's like you have a team kind of sneak up in the background. I feel like that always happens. There's always like the lead front runner, and then things aren't as clear as you think they were when they first was reported, and then that team or that guy right like behind the curtain is there ready to go.
Thing is, it's a business. Like, at the end of the day, the Packers are going to do what's best for them. They don't give a shit if they told the Jets before, hey, we're going to do a deal with you. If the Niners come in with a better deal, they're just going to straight up take it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Well, going back to the question, I think it is a fact. I don't think anyone's going to question that. You know, I think Aaron Rodgers on that team makes a lot more sense than him going to the Jets, because the Jets are such a young culture. And whereas in San Francisco, they've been established, they have a leader in Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch there as the GM, and so many other weapons. I think it would actually be the best move for his career to go home than it would be to actually go to New York.
And at the very least, you have veterans like Trent Williams, who've been there in the league forever, that like will check Aaron Rodgers and like make sure Aaron Rodgers isn't kind of like, I don't know, trying to be the alpha only guy.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference. Is like you go to New York, you're gonna be the oldest man in the room, and like almost you're gonna have to command respect from a bunch of youngins who I think would be ready for it because they want him.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Sauce Gardner and Breece Hall, they all want him. But he goes to San Francisco. You have other veterans there, like you mentioned, Trent Williams. Yeah. Even guys who have been in the league just for like
Kyle Juszczyk's been for almost 10 years right now.
But even the Debos, who's been there for like 4 or 5 years, is still like
Kittle,
he's going into an organization that is like set, that has been to the NFC Championship last year.
Yeah,
was that it?
Championship last year, 2 years before that,
and so
Super Bowl 2 years before that.
It's a fact. They'd be the best team in football. All they were missing was, and all they're still really missing is that quarterback, and they would get a guy that's a year removed from back-to-back MVPs.
Hey.
Whether they're the greatest team ever, though, that's another question. But they would be up there.
But the best part about this whole thing for Aaron Rodgers is that if he joins the 49ers, they can't beat him in the playoffs. So he's good to go. He's got that monkey off his back.
That's right.
Now, Super Bowl bound.
Kevin, what do you think makes more sense for Aaron Rodgers' career, regardless of where he wants to go? Going to the Niners or going to the Jets?
Oh, I would say Niners for sure. I think if he could get that another Super Bowl ring, that would be so nice because, dude, the Jets and the AFC, we know it's the AFC so tough right now.
Loaded.
NFC, the path to the Super Bowl is just so much easier. And the Niners, I think the Niners' one issue has always been with the quarterback, kind of Felipe, you were mentioning it, They've had so much drama around the quarterback position that's been like a huge distraction to the team. It's why they made calls for Rodgers a couple of years ago. So I think it's been kind of their kryptonite, that quarterback and the drama around it. If they knew Rodgers was their guy for the next 2 to 3 years, I think the team would be able to have a lot of trust in him and understand, like, we are that team. We have no more drama, and I think they'd actually win a ring or two.
Yeah, we've debated about this so many times because you always say that the Jets are a quarterback away, and I feel strongly that they're not a quarterback away. I think it solves a lot of their issues, but they're not. But the one team that's always been a quarterback away and is definitively the quarterback away is the San Francisco 49ers. So I know it's been floated around. It's probably unlikely to happen, but I would definitely go as far as saying that would be the best move for Aaron Rodgers' career right now. Currently, I just don't know if it's going to happen. Why would you trade him to the NFC?
So quickly though, what were the specifics around the Niners reaching out to Green Bay a few years ago? Like, what were they willing to give up?
I don't know what they were willing to give up, but my guess is that if you traded, because that was the trade with the Dolphins where they traded up to 3, you were probably willing to float the 3rd pick to Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers. That would be my guess. Why else, would you?
I don't know. I mean, they float around getting like these veteran guys too. Like they almost signed Tom Brady when he was a free agent. They went with the Bucks. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this though: Rodgers, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel,
Brandon Ayuk,
like that is nasty.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably the best.
And the best left tackle in the game too. Kyle Juszczyk.
You're talking about like 90s Cowboys rosters, like is what you're talking about.
Yes. Oh. Aaron Rodgers on this 49ers team with those skill positions, by far the best skill team in the NFL.
All right, I think we all agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was an easy one. All right. Next one up. Factor cap. If Tyreek Hill retired today, he'd be a Hall of Famer lock.
Speaking of freaking Tyreek Hill, I'm going to go fact. I'm going to go fact. He has done what he's had to do. I'm a big proponent of you need longevity. And look, Calvin Johnson was first ballot, and I didn't even think he had enough longevity to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, even though he was maybe the most dominant receiver that we've seen. But Tyreek Hill has won a Super Bowl. He's led the league in receptions, I believe, a couple of times. He's led the league in yards. When you tried to say that it's all because of Patrick Mahomes, he goes to Miami and does it with Tua.
Has a better and even has more success.
Yeah. So I think part of the reason that we maybe wouldn't want to put him in that Hall of Fame category is also because he's not your stereotypical receiver. He's not the prototype at the position. He's a smaller guy after the league has really become pass heavy and you got all these slot guys coming in. But Tyreek does it all from his size. Yeah, he's 5'10", but he plays inside, he plays outside, he runs the whole route tree. He does jump balls, which is crazy. And so I'm gonna say, I think he's a Hall of Famer.
I say borderline fact. I just don't know, like, how hard is it to make the NFL Hall of Fame?
It's really hard.
Is it? Like, because MLB is really fucking hard. I'm a baseball guy, so like
shameless plug.
No, I'm just saying in general. So I compare it to that, where it's like the hardest thing to do. I would say he probably is.
What would you say, Kevin?
He probably needs another year, I think. But
my initial thought right when you said it was fact. Mainly because Felipe mentioned Super Bowl champ. You add that in. He's done it with a second team. I also just think when you think about the Hall of Fame and you think about the players that kind of changed the game, and
bingo.
Tyreek's a game changer. He's always going to be viewed as the guy who made a case for the small guy who has the speed and the route running, who can just settle down those little pockets in the zone coverage. So I think he's in just because of his game changing ability, and also I think the NFL Hall of Fame is getting a lot easier to get into. And he's viewed as one of the top guys for the decade.
That's exactly what I was thinking by saying it's just like he's the Steph Curry of the NFL.
He revolutionized.
Exactly. He revolutionized the game. People are looking for the next Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle gets the comparisons, right? Every single team is like, who's going to be that next Tyreek? Who could have that change of pace? That change of pace, that speed.
They tried. Ruggs was supposed to be that guy. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I would say fact. Even if he only played 6 or 7 years, and I think at the end would be 10 years in the NFL after that 2025 contract. But just for the impact, like Kevin said, to me, he's a Hall of Fame lock. Yeah,
I mean, he did change the game. Like you said, teams are trying to find the next Tyreek all the time. And I think just in that aspect, when you change the game like Tyreek did. You're a Hall of Famer.
Quickly, Kevin, where would you put Tyreek Hill in those top 5 wide receivers? Is he a top 5 wide receiver? Because for me, I have him at 1 or 2. Jack doesn't
have him
at
at 1.
1?
Yeah, I said all year I have him at 1.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. Let's go
no,
back.
I mean,
You just said Justin Jefferson was 1.
yeah.
No, I said people would say it. I said there's a lot of people would say
You
it. I
really
put
think Tyreek is
1.
better than Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my god.
All right,
All right, Kevin, cook him.
I put him in the back end of the top 5.
Yep.
I think I'm a Devontae Adams guy through and through. I think he's better. I'm gonna give Jamar the edge and Justin Jefferson. I put him more in the Diggs, Tyreek in like the 4 or 5 range. That's where I'd go. But I think you're really splitting hairs with those guys.
Where's Cooper Kupp?
Gosh, I just forget about him, man.
He's just a hard
now with
worker,
the bad team too. Maybe I'm keeping on Kupp. I know there's the argument that, oh man, can he do it outside? Is he good as well as he does in the slot?
Yeah,
Cooper Kupp's probably in that Diggs, Tyreek in the 4, 5, 6 range for me right now.
Sure.
Great route runner.
I agree. All right, we were talking about this off camera, and you brought it up. You brought their names up together, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Who do you think is better?
I gotta go Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson. I think people can just like it's really a 50-50.
Yeah, it is.
He's doing it with Kirk as his quarterback.
That's a good point.
And I find that his ability to just find a way to get open across the middle on these deep crossers. Guys know that they have to double team him, and he just still finds a way to go for 100, 150 in a lot of games. I think Chase still, if I had to really pick, I think Chase can still rely on some of those mossing catches, but I think consistently Justin Jefferson shows up play after play.
Well, JJ is the better route runner, and we're seeing in today's NFL a lot more technicalities allowing you to become one of the better wide receivers. So what we were talking about it off screen, I think it's like a preferencing, right? Because Jamar fits more the prototypical alpha wide receiver 1 type of build, whereas JJ is that technical Stephon Diggs, AB, shake you type of person, and that's why he's getting open and being consistently able to produce. But then I take it a step further. If Justin Jefferson had Joe Burrow, would he be definitively like light years ahead of Jamar Chase, or how would you factor in Joe Burrow in that one?
It'd be definitive. I wouldn't even question it because I can't even, guys, there's so many times we watch the Vikings games and you see Justin Jefferson just shaking his head after some horrible ball from Kirk. And he's like, you just chucked it in the dirt and like, what is happening right now? Joe Burrow is not doing that. I think it wouldn't even be close.
Let's put some respect on Kirk Cousins' name, guy. Come on.
How much respect do you
Kirk
want to
O'Shea.
put?
Nah, playing. He gets the perfect amount of respect.
Yeah, he's properly rated. He's one of the rare guys.
Speaking of bringing it back to Tyreek, though, one thing we got to give Tyreek credit for is that he wasn't always a good route runner. He was always very explosive, and that's what
you learn how to use it.
You got to learn how to use it. And I think part of the reason that Tyreek doesn't get the love that he gets is particularly because of his speed. Because a lot of people are going to say, oh, he's a burner. Like Jack has said it a few times.
Oh, yeah,
like, he's like fast boy. Like, that's fast boy.
I do call him fast boy all the time.
Yeah. But he can have that strength and still be a good route runner, and he's developed into a really good route runner. And so I think that's what kind of has separated him from the pack. But to your point, Jamar Chase, though, yes, is more explosive than Justin Jefferson, but he's a better route runner than Tyreek Hill. I think Jamar Chase is really fucking good.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's
We know that, though.
I don't think anyone's going to disagree with
He's
that.
okay.
I also put Tyreek. If I wasn't a Dolphins fan, Tyreek wouldn't be 1. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's called spade.
Spade. All right, next factor cap. JSN will be the only good wide receiver out of this draft.
I'm curious to hear what Kevin has to
Jackson
say
Smith,
watching Ohio State closely.
Jigba.
JSN, only good receiver out of the draft. Definitely not. There's too many receivers. There's too many receivers that go in the draft to be the only good one. Now, I do think he's light years ahead of the rest. I do think JSN is him. JSN, I watched him all, like, not this past year, but the year before. JSN, his route running is crazy. If you watched in the Utah game in the Rose Bowl, he has everything you want in an NFL receiver right now. That kind of smaller build, but the route running is just so fine-tuned. Those Ohio State receivers are looking good, and I think he's a lock to be one of like the top 12 receivers before we know it.
Well, I like that.
I agree.
I feel like a lot of people are pairing him up too, like in the draft with CJ Stroud, like teams that have an early pick and then a later first round pick. Putting them together would be that'd be like a Jamar Joe Burrow type of thing.
But I would say cap in terms of the factor caps, because it's always been my argument that the wide receivers are so loaded in today's like just college NFL pool that talent's never been a question. So all these guys come into the league, even if you don't have the right development staff around you, you could become at the later half of your career a better wide receiver. But when it comes to JSN, we were just talking about technical wide receivers, guys that are great route runners, and that's why they're in the top 5, top 7 in terms of being in the NFL. And I think JSN, we saw his 3-cone drill.
3-cone drill.
You know what I'm saying? Their 3-cone drill was crazy. So I don't know what it was.
Well, Kevin doesn't know, but Adam was raving about JSN's 3-cone drill.
It was like the 8th best by a receiver
since
from
2007 or something like that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But he is a great route runner, absolutely. And the one knock on him has been that, like, is he going to be able to play outside? And that's where you want your alpha receivers. Sure. Justin Jefferson's a great route runner, as we talked about, but he can play all over the field, as can CeeDee Lamb, as can a Tyreek Hill. So can JSN play outside?
He just casually slipped CD in there with Justin Jefferson.
I like CD more than the average fan, so I don't hate on him.
Every time I bring up names, you act like I'm ranking them, bro. We're just talking about play style. CD can play all over the field. But JSN, the one knock on him is, and the one just concern, I guess, is can he play outside? But I think even if he can't, he's the best receiver in this draft. And I think there's reason to believe that he'll be the only good receiver in this draft. I'll be the opposite guy. I'll say fact, even though, like you said, receiving classes, now there's so many good ones. But there's no one else standing out. Like Jordan Addison, there was a lot of hype around him. Now there's like not as much anymore. He's like really small. I think he weighed in at like 170. Like that's tiny. You have like Hollywood Brown type size. And then Quentin Johnston's just raw as hell. Like, yes, he has ability, but can he put it together?
Yeah, Zay Flowers, people are trying to take a flyer on, but they're really not sure.
That's the thing, right? It's a bunch of flyers after JSN. JSN, I think, is a sure product.
He still might not even be the first wide receiver drafted, which is crazy.
Because teams like banking on upside.
Yeah,
but JSN is as complete as it gets. And so, I mean, as far as like confidence that one guy's going to pop off, I think JSN's that guy, and I don't know if anyone else is.
Yep. Well said, Felipe.
Thank you, bro.
All right, factor cap. CJ Stroud would be the best Ohio State quarterback ever.
Cap.
In the NFL, by the way. Let's clarify. In the NFL, he will be the best.
Huge cap.
Huge cap? What? Who you got, Jack, then?
Joe Burrow. Come on.
I knew you were going to go
Don't forget,
around.
he was third string.
All right, exclude Joe Burrow.
Oh, well, that's a tough one now. They haven't really had shit.
I'll say cap. I think Justin Fields is better. I think Justin Fields is so underappreciated and underrated, it's not even funny.
I don't know. I mean, CJ Stroud's just so damn accurate. Like, he could fit the ball into a tiny little hole the size of a nickel.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I want to know what
It's cap. It's cap.
Yeah.
I do understand Ohio State quarterbacks just have not done well in the league. Mm-hmm. They have not. And I think it's going to be mainly between Fields and Stroud, but I do have Stroud as my number one quarterback by far in this draft. I think he's on his own tier above Bryce Young. Like, I don't even know.
No bias detected. No bias.
Yeah, no bias. But no, he's accurate though. He can sit in the pocket and can just dice teams up. I think he's more mobile than people realize, even though he didn't showcase it like a ton. He used it in the Georgia game. You can see that he can do it. He's just got to get past a little bit of the mental barrier with that. But he can make all the long throws to the sideline. I think it's cap. I know I'm kind of like talking up CJ Stroud just because I think Justin Fields is kind of 50-50 with them. It's a 50-50 shot. Fields can run it, and if they get some better surrounding cast around him, I think Fields could do it. But it also depends on the situation. I mean, Stroud, he's got to be drafted to the right team. That's one of the biggest things with these quarterbacks. You got to be in the right fit. And if he gets on that team, like, I don't know about the Panthers. I don't know. Their defense is okay, but if the fit isn't right, he's not going to be the best ever.
Where do you want him to go then, like as an Ohio State fan?
Oh, well, as an Ohio State fan, I think he would do really well on the Raiders. I think if you put him with Devontae Adams and you put him in Josh McDaniels' system, he has that dice it up, can follow what the coaches think, go through his reads, exactly what Josh McDaniels would want. And then I also think the Raiders with the receiving core right now is still very good. I think that'd be a really good system for him to be able to succeed in.
And there's no pressure to start right away either when you have Jimmy G there too. Like, that'd be good.
I think it makes, but if it's strictly based off of places he should go that he could develop, it's definitely not Houston, I'll tell you that.
No.
But if he goes to Carolina with Frank Reich and Josh McCown, I think they have an underrated supporting cast in the Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, Terrace Marshall, Who else? They got
Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders. They got a nice supporting cast there. I think C.J. Stroud could actually be really good in Carolina, but I definitely don't think it's a fact to say that he's going to be the best Ohio State quarterback
They got
ever.
the 11th pick too or something?
Wait, I gotta. Why'd you say C.J. Stroud's light years better than Bryce Young?
Yeah, wait, we just let that one go.
We're just gonna let that slide?
Yeah, no, you ain't gonna let it slide. I think CJ Stroud. I do like the playmaking ability of Bryce Young. He kind of has that it factor. I am concerned though about his. Honestly, I'm concerned about his size. I'm gonna be honest, especially heading to the Texans. I know they re-signed Laramie Tunsil, but when it comes to being better as a prospect for the league, I think Stroud checks every box. Where to me, Bryce Young does not. So that's why I think it's light years ahead. But when it came to their performance in college. Very, very comparable. I think if Stroud wins 2 different games, like if he beats Michigan those 2 years, I think he's back-to-back Heisman champion or Heisman winner instead of Bryce Young getting one of them.
I mean, it's fair, but
he wasn't.
Pummeled against Michigan. Like, I was at the game this year. That sucked. My sister went to Ohio State, so I like Ohio State. But that was terrible. I should have won. I almost had an Ohio State.
So what do you think about? I saw the latest mock draft actually. Actually, Mike Renner, shout out PFF. Who we're going to have on the pod soon, too, did his mock draft through PFF, and he had the number 1 quarterback going first overall being Anthony Richardson. So how do you feel about a guy like Anthony Richardson going ahead of C.J. Stroud?
I like this.
So Richardson, I see the upside. I'm really nervous about him. I'm really nervous, and if a team thinks, like, you can take him 1 because I do think that's in the realm of possibilities for him that he is by far the best quarterback from this draft class if he can tweak a few of his things, especially decision making. But it's not worth that pick to me, especially when you have a guy that has the build of like Stroud, who's there and like ready to go and has most of the qualities you would want in your starting quarterback. Anthony Richardson. I see his athleticism, but I kind of see it a little bit as this pro day combine hype that people just want to create that he's the next Newton or whatever it is. When in reality, he has not shown it at all to me and through his play at Florida that he deserves that spot.
Yeah, I don't get the Cam Newton comparisons at all because like Cam Newton won
it's a
the
physical
Heisman,
comparison.
won the Natty. Like Anthony Richardson didn't do anything close to that.
But I think people are comparing him because of the physical
athleticism.
qualities, the
physical
athleticism.
It's like the
quality.
strength,
Yeah.
the shoulders.
Yeah, but he does everything that Cam did
Crazy
way
shoulders.
worse. Like it just
No, his body of work is not great.
horrific. It's terrible.
But his body of work is more comparable to a Josh Allen than a Cam Newton.
Yes.
So you compare him in stature with and just his physical abilities with Cam Newton, and then you compare his body of work with Josh Allen, and you're like, well, those are 2 pretty good quarterbacks, and we'll take our chance. It makes sense.
Have we seen like a quarterback who uses his rushing game, like who hasn't played great in college, really succeed? I know you mentioned Josh Allen, and he definitely is one of them, but like
I think that's the only one.
Cam Newton, super successful in college. Lamar Jackson, super successful in college.
Zach
I'm just trying to think.
Wilson,
Do you
not
guys think of anybody else?
successful in the NFL. We were trying to think about this like a month or so. We were talking about it. Like I can't think of anyone besides Josh Allen.
I don't think so.
Yeah. How was Vic in college? I'm too young for this. I don't even know.
Vic
They
made,
were good.
Vic made a national championship.
Yeah,
I believe,
I
and
was
lost.
I think Tech was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, first overall pick too.
Well, this one came out in the news, I think, a couple days ago or maybe even yesterday. But Factor Cap, the Patriots should move on from Mac Jones.
I'm gonna sit back and wait on this one.
Kevin, are you a Patriots fan? I have reason to believe that you are, maybe. Or am I tripping?
So you are tripping. If you want to know who I'm a fan of, I'm a Raider fan.
That's why he's fucking
All right,
fucked.
all right.
But
This guy.
technically that's Patriots 2.0. But with the
Wait, why
Mac
are you-
Jones factor,
why are you a
cap-
Raider fan?
Say that again.
Why are you
I'm
a Raider fan?
It's really weird, man. I got no ties to California or Vegas.
I was hoping you'd say
Simply-
you're from the Bay. That'd be nice.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Dad became a fan when he was younger, bandwagon back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then
Just win, baby.
I hopped on. But hey, I'm not a bandwagon because I was second generation. So
Fair. Second
we'll
gen's
take it.
good.
It's true.
You
But
can't
you could
really
be a
bandwagon
bandwagon.
the Raiders right now anyway. They're not good enough for
you could be a
that.
bandwagon all you want right now. I don't care.
I know. I've had 2 playoff games in my fandom, so it's
Oh,
been a
God.
rough one. But
Hey.
yeah, being a Raider fan's been tough. But I'm trying to find hope through the little things, and maybe Jimmy G and his wins in San Fran
Hey.
can
As a Niner fan, Jimmy G's a lot better than people think. I think you'll be all right.
Yeah,
like
with a
to hear
good
that.
supporting cast, but
They have one.
Okay.
Not defense, but
All right, so Mac Jones. What was the question?
Fact or cap, Matt? The Patriots should move on from Mac Jones.
Cap.
It's a cap. What are we doing?
Not yet, right? Like we gotta.
Unless you get Lamar.
Well, yes, yes.
No shit.
If you get Lamar, you ship him the fuck out. Like express delivery, is that what they call it? Keep Mac. What you did last year to him was so disrespectful. You brought in a defensive coordinator to be the offensive coordinator to call plays. You're gonna expect him to perform well with the defensive coordinator calling plays. Like, it's just not gonna happen. Not to mention the lack of weapons that you put around him. The run game is good. You can plug and play anybody, and it's gonna be good in the run game. But the receivers aren't there. So I mean, you help him out a little bit, I guess. You bring in Juju. I still want them to make a move for another wide receiver. But now at least you bring in Bill O'Brien, who can actually call plays and has had success in New England and elsewhere as well. So now you can actually judge him objectively. To get rid of him after you had a DC calling plays makes no sense.
I agree. I think it's an easy cap. Normalize not moving on from a quarterback after like 3 years. Like, let's put the proper talent around them. Let's see what they can do.
I say fact. I think Bailey Zappi looked better last year.
Oh, that's true.
It's Zappi hour, bro. I'm telling you. I think Zappi's that guy. Broke Joe Burrow's record in college at Western Kentucky. Most yards ever in a season. Come on.
I'm going cap because he's still your first-round quarterback that you took. And you give him a great situation year one with McDaniels, and then year two, like Felipe said, you're going to a D coordinator as your play caller. I think if any other coach had done that, they would be getting so much more heat from this if it wasn't Bill Belichick. I don't know why we're giving him a pass on this. One of the worst decisions we've seen in like a coaching hire. But I'm gonna say cap. But it is funny though, because I was at that Bears Patriots Monday Night Football game where Zappi came in mid-game.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sitting in the crowd and just hearing all the Zappi chants during the game, I felt so embarrassed for Mac Jones. Like seeing him on the sideline, everybody's chanting Zappi every time he throws an incompletion. I don't know if the fans are moved on from Mac Jones, or they just are done with him. But I'm gonna say cap because I still think Mac Jones has something to show. But I was embarrassed for him in that Bears game.
There's something about Mac Jones. I don't know what it is. He just feels so bland.
I agree with you. Well,
like he feels like vanilla ice cream where you're like, yeah, it's fine. It'll do the job. Like there's way better options out there, but you get it done.
When he was at Alabama, they had a ton of toppings on the vanilla, and that's what makes vanilla better because you can put a ton of toppings on it. But now in New England, it's still just vanilla.
Like if you make it a beer, it's a Budweiser. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's good old American beer, but it's really not going to what you want.
There was a stat I saw on Twitter that was comparing Bailey Zappi to Mac Jones. Now, I don't really can tell you what EPA means, but it's each team's EPA per play split by quarterback. So essentially it's comparing each team's quarterbacks. Just follow me. Starter and backup. And obviously Bailey Zappi had a smaller sample size, but it's comparing EPA per play, which is like, I know it's important, but I don't know what it means. Yeah, it's an important one. Bailey Zappi was better than Mac Jones and light years. Mac Jones was kind of like closer to like a Zach Wilson, and Bailey Zappi was higher. Now it's a smaller sample size, but in a vacuum, Bailey Zappi showed that even in this shitty OC mentality that he was able to perform. Wow, but it was a small sample size, so that's interesting. It's an interesting thing. I don't think you can give up on Mac Jones just yet, but I think it's interesting.
Look at Tua and Skylar Thompson.
I know, right?
That's funny.
So, yeah, man. I mean, look, when you analyze quarterbacks, I don't care about anything. All I care about is EPA. I wake up, I think about EPA.
Don't forget about DVOA.
I go to bed, I think about EPA, and then the DVOA sometimes I consider as well. This is the kind of podcast we are. We talk about statistics. We don't even know what the fuck they mean. But Adam put so much validity into this shit.
Hold on. EPA. Kevin, do you know what EPA or DVOA is?
I've seen them on Twitter, but I haven't dove into them.
That's how we all are.
It's a made up stat.
That's how we all are. We all have seen it on Twitter.
But that's all that matters.
Nah, EPA is expected points added.
That's like war in baseball.
Yeah, so EPA is actually a real stat. It's a real stat. It's good. It's what do you bring into? It really analyzes your performance based off of points and what you bring into your offense. It's like what we talked about in the past when quarterbacks.
Like war with baseball.
War with baseball. Yeah. No, it's a relevant stat. It's a relevant stat. Good shit, Adam.
Thanks. All right. Fuck. You got to cut your nails.
Bro, it's so short right now.
Something I hit. Ow. All right. This is a good one. This is a good conversation to have. We're moving on from fact to Cavs into the purely hypotheticals. But all right, Kevin. Pick one quarterback to give the max to. Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, or Jalen Hurts.
So easy.
It's not that
You
easy.
said to give the what to?
To give the max to.
Like a max contract.
Like a
You
max
can only
contract.
pick one.
Give the max, and you said Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. Repeat them again.
Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, and Jalen Hurts. You could only give the max to one quarterback.
So easy.
Oh, Joe Burrow.
Yeah, it's the
100%.
easiest.
Joe Burrow. Because I'm in Ohio. The
that
Cincinnati
makes sense.
Bengals have been a lifeless franchise my entire life. Joe Burrow's made Bengals fans actually be able to feel like they have something there. The amount of money he's bringing into that team and the amount of just excitement, Joe Burrow deserves that max 1,000%. I would not give it to anybody else.
I don't think it's really that close. The only other person you can maybe make an argument for is Trevor Lawrence, I think. You're not going to give it to Jalen Hurts because he's a rusher. He might get hurt doing that. And Joe Burrow, out of the next three guys, is the only one that's been to a Super Bowl, that's won multiple playoff games.
Jalen
I
Hurts?
could very well give it to
I said
Jalen.
besides Jalen Hurts. I'm
Yeah,
not
but
going
I'm
to say him
saying-
because he's
But one of the
rusher.
biggest reasons you're taking Joe Burrow is because they made it to the Super Bowl. Yeah?
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts made it to the Super Bowl too.
Jalen Hurts
Was an
is
MVP
more of a
candidate.
rusher. He could get hurt.
I get that, but if it's strictly about their performance on the field, one was an MVP candidate, one was not. One made it to the Super Bowl, and the other made it to the
Joe
Super
Burrow's
Bowl.
been in the MVP conversation the last 2 years.
He hasn't been top three.
Yeah, so is Tua. We're not going to sit here and be
Well,
like,
no,
Tua. But that's my point, is that just because you're in the conversation doesn't actually make you in the conversation.
Who you taking, Adam?
Like, just to
So you better be taking Hurts after you say.
well,
all that
no,
shit.
just to be a contrarian. I would probably pick Trevor Lawrence.
I would pick Trevor Lawrence without blinking.
Oh,
Really? You think he's that much better than Burrow?
what?
Oh,
That's fucking crazy.
Could you do this whole thing without blinking though?
No, I can't. I blink a lot. 'cause
So wait, by
I
saying
need
that
to-
you
I
think
need to
that Trevor
lubricate my
Lawrence
eyes.
is by saying that you think Trevor Lawrence is way better than Joe Burrow?
No. That's not a fair
thanks
point.
for saving me, bro.
Yeah,
Usually
hold
I'm on
let
an
me-
island.
Yeah, no.
No, I
that's-
mean,
no, because
that's
we're
essentially
going
what
off
he's saying.
potential. We're going off of also what you've been handed from an organizational
Yes.
standpoint. I know the Cincinnati Bengals were a terrible franchise, but you also had a lot of fucking talent there, okay? And a defense that has consistently been overperforming. What has Trevor Lawrence been given? What has Trevor Lawrence had besides this year where Christian Kirk was
Doug
his wide
Peterson,
receiver
a
one?
Super Bowl winning
1
head coach?
year. I
For 1
agree
year,
with
bro.
you.
That helps a ton.
And from a potential
But
standpoint,
he had to overcome the lack of development he had his rookie year to still become and
Joe
live
Burrow
up
got
to the
hurt his
prospect
rookie
that he
year.
was.
I'm not
Trevor
trying
Lawrence-
to go ahead.
Trevor Lawrence entering the NFL, the greatest quarterback prospect we've seen. He goes in, it's his rookie season. He has the most incompetent head coach maybe we've
it's
ever
terrible.
seen, Urban Meyer there. Obviously, all the inefficiencies that they had there, they won a game his rookie year. So we've seen situations like that completely ruin quarterbacks, completely fold quarterbacks. Like they literally will be washed out the league in a couple years because of a situation like that. Trevor Lawrence, they get him an actual competent head coach, Doug Peterson, with some experience and Super Bowl experience at that, and he flips the switch. We saw him have one of the greatest comebacks in the playoffs that we've seen in recent time against one of the other quarterbacks that's in this question, right?
Herbert
Justin
shouldn't be in
Herbert.
that question.
So
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, I think, is that dude, and I think it just really comes down to what Adam said. Joe Burrow has had more. So yes, he's had more success, but I'd like to see Trevor Lawrence with the same setup that Joe Burrow has. And I
He's
think
got a
Trevor
comparable
Lawrence,
one right now.
and I think it's not. Just Jamar Chase is much better than anything Trevor Lawrence has to do. Trevor Lawrence is a really good running back, but again, overall unit, the Bengals are better. And
That's debatable.
I just think Trevor Lawrence, like what he brings to the table and what he's done with the Jags, I think he could do more with any franchise than Joe Burrow could.
Also, to clarify, I'm not sitting here trying to like discredit and shit on Joe Burrow. It's not like I love that we're all saying no to Justin Herbert.
Yeah, that's an easy.
You're not a winner. You're a stats guy. I'm all for it. You're the social media quarterback, as we know. But I agree with you on Jalen Hurts. I'm not from a rushing standpoint. The reason I probably give the edge to Trevor Lawrence is rushing upside, though. Like, I know that he's a better rusher and can scramble better than Joe Burrow.
Sure.
But, yeah, I'm probably going to give it to Trevor Lawrence just to be a contrarian. But I don't know. Is that what contrarian means? Unpopular opinion?
Contrarian means you're going against the group. You're going against
We're like
popular
2-2,
opinion.
so-
Right.
You're going against the popular opinion.
Well, the popular opinion would be Joe Burrow. Across.
Probably.
Yeah. But,
Man, Trevor's so good.
yeah, he is.
Let's see another
I'm
year of
excited
Trevor.
to see this year. They got Calvin Ridley now. You have Christian Kirk, Travis Etienne. shitty offensive
Evan
lines for
Ingram all
both
of a
them.
sudden
Evan
is
Ingram's,
awesome.
but Evan Ingram's always had the
one
talent.
thing about Joe Burrow, and again, you can't take it really away from him or use it against him because he's like won, right? He made the Super Bowl his first year, but he hasn't had any type of extraordinary stats in the playoffs. He hasn't. A lot of 1 touchdown, 2 touchdown game, a $150, 200-yard games where they're winning. But again, like we talked about his fourth quarter touchdowns, like none. Go ahead touchdowns or whatever it was in his first couple of years in like 8 playoff games compared to other quarterbacks like Mahomes who's had 10 or guys like in the past like Peyton Manning who's had like 7 or 8. So we're obviously comparing him to very lofty status with those guys, but Trevor Lawrence is also capable of being compared to those guys.
If we're gonna bring up his playoff stats, though, then I can bring up Trevor Lawrence throwing 4 picks in the first half of that.
And willed his team back, though.
Yeah, but he still threw 4 picks. You're just talking straight up on the stat sheet.
And won.
Okay, Joe Burrow did all that and won too.
Well, he didn't do all that. He won, but he did do all that. That's the point.
I'm
So
saying
I think Trevor Lawrence with that team would win with better stats.
No, I get what you're trying to say. You could take Joe Burrow. Kevin, you can take Joe Burrow. We can take Trevor Lawrence. Ain't nobody fucking picking Justin Herbert.
What about Jalen Hurts?
Or Jalen Hurts.
Not just because,
I think Herbert's dealing with an incompetent franchise, and if he was with a better franchise, he would be right up there with those two guys.
Yeah, I agree. I feel strongly about my Jalen Hurts thoughts too, in terms of like he was great and from an MVP standpoint, but the rushing upside is what kept him in the MVP, not his passing ability. And at the end of the day, we know it's a passing league.
Perfect situation.
Yeah. All right, we got one specific to you, Kevin, but let's go around and build an offense of all Ohio State players because Ohio State's had some crazy talent and they can compete with anyone in college. But I'm curious to know if we were building a fantasy team of Ohio State players all time, what would that look like? I know we're putting you on the spot.
Team on the spot. Okay.
We'll do quarterback. We'll do 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex, I guess. Or
okay, are we talking like current? Are we talking all time? So like
all
I can take
time.
them.
That's tough.
Okay.
I don't even fucking know that far.
Quarterback, I'm gonna go Fields just because of the rushing ability. I think it was kind of a hack this past year in fantasy.
Yeah.
So I'll go Fields at quarterback. Running back.
This can be in their prime, like obviously not.
Yeah, let's go Zeke Elliott. Let's go Zeke
have
Elliott.
to.
Have
to
running
do
backs.
that.
He's got to be one of the 2.
Yeah.
Let's
Carlos
think of the other
Hyde's
running
available.
backs here. Carlos
Who
Hyde.
else, huh?
There's J.K. Dobbins if he's
JK's
healthy.
definitely better, yeah.
Wasn't Eddie George a Buckeye?
Yeah.
He was a Buckeye.
You say Eddie George?
Yeah, he was a Buckeye.
We'll have to go Eddie George then. Eddie George.
It's got to be Zeke and Eddie.
Yeah.
The
The thing is, that's like pre-fantasy time for me. Like I don't even know, like Eddie George. I wasn't like tracking his fantasy stats back then. But if you just look at his yards and his touchdowns, like he has to be one of our 2.
He's a stud.
Yeah, was he a Heisman winner? I think he was, wasn't he? Eddie George?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
He might have been
Okay,
back-to-back Heisman winner.
Yeah, I think so.
Receivers.
Damn, wide receiver
This
you.
one gets crazy.
Receivers are good. I think Ohio State's wide receiver use. So this is tough.
Yes, sir. It is. Yep.
Okay. Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna do it.
You have to.
There's
He
another
catches
one
too many
that
balls.
he's a
trying to
little
think of
older, but there's one that
A little
I'm
older.
gonna wait to see if you say it.
Yeah, Ted Ginn.
Who?
You said Ted Ginn. Oh, gosh,
Yeah,
he's-
Ted Ginn.
Nah.
Man, who's the older guy? Dang, Jack, you're throwing me off here. I'm trying to think who the older guy is that I should.
I looked it up yesterday, honestly, because I was curious. So that's not like I knew it off the dome.
I think you should tell me.
Chris Carter.
Chris Carter.
Oh, you got to go Chris Carter.
Yeah.
Chris Carter, Hofer. Yeah. Chris Carter, Michael Thomas, I think fantasy wise,
It's disgusting.
insane numbers. I'm excited to see Michael Thomas this year. I'm really curious to see what he does with Carr. And like hopefully with him being
hope he's healthy.
If he can stay on the field, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll be curious. I want to see if he can get back to his old self.
Yeah, I'm a big MT fan.
And then tight end.
I don't even know.
Ooh, Buckeye tight end's not as.
I couldn't tell you, bro.
I couldn't even
don't
tell
know
you.
off
I'm
the top
going
of my
through a
head.
list trying to see. All right, should we nix the tight end?
Next to tight end, give us another flex. There should probably be a receiver.
Has there been any good ones?
Not on this
Nix
top
the
50
tight
list.
end and give you another
Oh,
flex.
Wes
Okay.
Fessler.
Oh.
Wes Fessler. 1928 to 1930. He was a star.
Oh my
Okay.
god, I've heard a lot about his Ohio State career.
Yeah, any other
Some
Buckeye
Ohio
tight ends?
State tight ends.
Buckeye tight ends have not been good. Like Nick Van
Mike
Ness.
Vrabel.
Oh yeah,
What?
Yeah, sure. Mike Vrabel.
But he was a
he was a
played tight
linebacker,
end?
but he could play a little tight end. Yeah,
It says
He
American.
played D line though.
It says famous Ohio State tight ends. Mike Vrabel shows up. I don't
He
know.
maybe had like a
I was
snap.
like, I thought he was a lineman, but
It wouldn't shock me if he had like a snap or something.
he could have scored.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know about the tight end. I would love if I could like pick though a guy that I would just love to put out there at tight end, not necessarily for fantasy purposes, just for fun though. I'd want to see Terrell Pryor at tight end. Throw him out there, my boy Terrell Pryor. Throw him out. I still think Terrell Pryor is like a what could have been because
If he just
He's
started
a
his
freak
career as a
athlete.
receiver,
But
oh my God.
no, if he would have stayed at quarterback, we'd been drafted in today's league.
Raider legend
That's true.
Terrell
He'd be
Pryor.
a top 5 quarterback.
Wait, so who
Raider
you putting
legend
at,
Terrell Pryor. Yeah.
who are you putting at your flex?
Flex.
Terry?
Might have to go with one of the young receivers, honestly. I'm gonna go Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, that's nice.
Over Terry?
Scary Terry.
Over Terry.
Terry?
I like Terry too, but I think
Not with
for
Sam
this
Howell.
next year, Garrett Wilson's trending in the right direction, especially when he gets Rodgers.
Garrett's
Yeah,
nasty,
second year
man.
Garrett Wilson's going to be crazy.
Yeah, that was all right. That team probably going to lose in the fantasy Super Bowl, because that's what happens. You have a great team on paper, and then you end up losing.
That's
Sounds
true.
like what happens to you a lot?
Yeah, that's what happened to me last year. All right, I want to move into some things where we could talk about your hottest takes, your quarterbacks, your top 5 guys, and kind of get a taste of what your rankings look like. So I think we moved past the hottest takes because we've had a couple hot takes from
Yes.
CJ Stroud over Bryce Young and whatnot. But what do your top 5 quarterbacks look like right now in the NFL?
Yeah, top 5. They have actually switched around a little bit from this past year. I'm going to start off with my number 1 just because I think it's the easiest. I would like to hope you guys would agree, but Patrick Mahomes is my number 1. This year confirmed that for sure. That guy is just the best quarterback in the league. Will go down as arguably the best of all time. My 2 flipped this year because of the divisional round win. I moved Joe Burrow up to my number 2. So Joe Burrow's my number 2.
far.
Something about just winning in the playoffs, his demeanor and the way his teammates rally around him. I feel like the teammates just all believe in him and the way that he leads. So he's got everything I want in a quarterback. So Joe Burrow is going to be my 2. Josh Allen is 3, so that's where it flip-flop for me. Josh Allen, on paper, I look at him and the way he plays, and I'm like, he's a freak. So it's like felt weird moving him down, but as you guys says, I do care about wins and playoff, and I do care about. Josh Allen has kind of disappointed me when it comes to his success in the postseason so far, especially this past year. I had high expectations.
Yeah, everyone did.
This is where it starts getting a little weird in my rankings. This is where like people start debating things. I did put Jalen Hurts at my 4. I moved Jalen Hurts all the way up to 4. I know he has a great roster around him, and it's a really good system for him. So he's set up to succeed. But seeing him play through this year, he's a winner. He is similar to Joe Burrow, has all the qualities you want in your starting quarterback, and to be one of those elite guys. So I really like Jalen Hurts. I'm going to put him at 4, and then 5. I threw Lamar Jackson in there, and this is a kind of a controversial one because of the playoff success and availability in December the past few years. But I felt like the fear factor on the defensive side playing against Lamar Jackson was enough to me to keep him in the top 5. But this is where I start like really splitting hairs between these guys. Like some of my honorable mentions, like I still think Aaron Rodgers has the ability to be a top 5 quarterback. Even just 1 year removed from his back-to-back MVPs, it's hard to move him out of there. Trevor Lawrence, we talked about earlier, Felipe's guy, Trevor Lawrence. He's definitely honorable mention, and then Herbert as well. But I'm lower on Herbert, so Herbert on the back end of those honorable mentions.
Just curious, where does Dak Prescott rank for you in your
Oh well,
list?
I don't want to upset Felipe here, but he's outside my top 10. So I know.
Look at the grin.
Wait, why?
Yeah. Why? I think he's been in a great situation for so long.
Has he?
I know.
Has.
I
Has he?
still think. Yeah, I think he's had the offense to do it. Now I get it. Like there's been he hasn't had the best defense all the time, and he hasn't had every weapon you could ask for. Guys have been hurt, so and he's been hurt himself too. So I don't have like an extremely hot take on Dak. I would actually be more curious to hear Felipe's thoughts on this, just because Dak's somebody that the whole NFL community, nobody can figure out Dak Prescott. That's what I seem to find.
Well, we've talked about it a lot, so I don't even need to dive in too much. But I'll just address him him having the weapons and not performing. Last year he had the 32nd. His receivers were 32nd in wide receiver separation.
Nice.
You pull that one out all the time.
And his
man.
offensive line was 31st in pass block win rate. So
Nice.
Really?
he actually, yeah.
Advanced analytics, baby.
Yeah.
So-
The one time you'll bring out advanced analytics is defend Dak.
So that's why I'm just like listening. I understand. I think the Dak Prescott criticism is valid to a large extent. And he's had weapons in the past, and they haven't won as much as they should. I think it's organizational more than Dak. That's why I still have him in the top 10. But
As long as Jerry's alive.
I haven't been able to be here when Dak gets slandered, but I actually don't think that Dak slander is fair, because at the end of the day, we talk about Josh Allen. He's put up insane numbers, but Josh Allen doesn't win in the playoffs. Obviously, Dak, when they get there, they fucking shit the bed, and a lot of people use the wins as a thing that's against him. But then we talk about what Dak Prescott was doing before he fucked up his hand. But then we talk about what Dak Prescott we don't talk about what Dak Prescott was doing before he shattered his entire ankle. So when he's on pace to have these video game numbers and put up MVP-like numbers, then we just forget about it. So Dak Prescott in 2 years was on pace to put up these absurd numbers, the same type of numbers that Dak or Joe Burrow or any one of these guys would. But then he gets hurt and people forget about it. And so when they look at the overarching sample size and they just pick out INTs, they're like, that's why he's not elite, or they can't win in the playoffs. So I don't think Dak Prescott criticism is fair.
But it comes with the territory of being the quarterback of America's team. So.
I started the whole thing.
Well, that's
I was just thinking about that. The same thing you just said, Felipe. He gets a sense of pressure that's so much higher than all the other quarterbacks in the league, being the quarterback of the Cowboys. Yeah. And I think I even personally suffer from this. I suffer from the narrative of being like, oh, Zach Martin on the offensive line. So I just assume it's really good. And then it's kind of like, oh, the best running back tandem in the league. You got Zeke, who's an amazing blocker, and Pollard, who's one of the most underrated guys. And then you get to wait, CeeDee Lamb, and then Michael Gallup, he's kind of underrated. So I think I kind of suffer a little bit from the narrative of feeling like his supporting cast might be better than it is.
Hey, that's all we do on this podcast is go off of these. We'll have a deep dive on the Miami Dolphins after watching 3 snaps a game. So
yeah,
it's completely valid.
It's actually the first time I ever heard you say something like that. I mean, yeah.
You think I'm watching the Dolphins?
No, but
fuck no.
No, but you shit on when we talked about it last week, you shit on the fucking Dolphins, but without fucking knowing about everything.
Of course.
I come to you
Bro,
for that
I'll shit on based off of a box score without watching a snap. I don't care.
All right, well, we're gonna begin wrapping up, but before we start wrapping it up, I want to know who's the most overrated or underrated team in the NFL heading into the 2023 season.
Overrated and underrated team. I'm trying to think. Let me think about this. Overrated. Every year, I think the Chargers get overrated. So I'm gonna throw that one out there. Just every year they just get a lot of hype, and everyone thinks they're gonna win challenge the Chiefs in the AFC West. So I'm gonna say overrated there, and then. I'm actually going to stick in the same division, underrated. I'm actually going to go Denver Broncos, underrated for next year. I think we can't sleep on Sean Payton. I think we can't, and especially because people are going to go into the year having a lot of thoughts on what Russell Wilson was this past year and just how bad he was in the media he got. Where I think if Sean Payton's able to turn them around, it's going to be a really big flip from the narrative of what people think about Russell Wilson. So I'm going to actually go overrated Chargers, underrated Broncos.
I like that.
I like that.
I
like that a lot. Yep. And now, last but not least, who's your early Super Bowl pick for this year? And then what do you think that matchup's going to look like?
Who's beating who?
Right now, I'm not. Again, it's early. I'm going to go with a rematch. I'm going to go Chiefs-Eagles rematch, but I think Eagles take it next year. Eagles take it. And I know it's really – I think that's a hot take, honestly, because losing the coordinators – is a big deal. That's a big deal. But I think the Eagles right now are maybe my pick. I'm very open to changing this as the offseason comes around and I see the draft. Because now, if the Eagles draft Bijan Robinson, I'm going to be even higher on the Eagles winning it because Bijan Robinson's a guy where if he gets drafted on a team, I want to see Bijan Robinson get drafted onto a team that can actually be a good surrounding cast for him, not be a great running back on a horrible team that you just waste for 4 years. So I'm going to say the Eagles for right now. I think they play the Chiefs. Chiefs have given me no reason to doubt them to going back to the Super Bowl. So I'm gonna stick with them. And I'm going to go Eagles, but if the Niners can I want the Niners to trade away Trey Lance personally, and I want them to stick with Brock Purdy and
like that.
not have the drama. Darnold's your 2, Purdy's your 1.
Just pick a guy.
So I think Niners Eagles though could be the 2, and I'm going to say Eagles win Super Bowl.
I'm not about it because I'm a Niner fan, but at least you mentioned the name.
Yeah,
He did.
You mentioned the team. That's
Showed
cool
you
with
some
me.
love, gave you some flowers. All right, well, this was a hell of an episode. We got a lot of hot takes in there. We got a lot of. I think we started the episode with a conversation around you wanted to give more of your opinionated takes on the NFL, and I think we very much got that this episode. So this was awesome, Kevin. Where could everyone find you if they're looking for your socials?
Yeah, you guys can find me on all socials at Kevin Walsh, but no I, Kevn Walsh. Definitely check it out. I'm trying to grow the community and just want to share more thoughts around the NFL with everybody. And I love talking football, so comment on my stuff. I'll respond. We'll have some good conversation. DM me, all that stuff. But yeah, Kevin Walsh.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Fuck yeah. All right.
Sweet, man. It's been fun having you on.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And if you're looking for any betting advice, any betting analysis, make sure to head over to thegameday.com. You're going to find everything, including promos. So just remember, we'll see you on Friday.
Bye.
Hey, go Raiders, baby, huh?
Go Raiders. Raider Nation all day.
Just win, baby.
Disagree with any of Kevin's takes? Let us know in the comments. Check out any of his socials. Hit that link below. And if you want any betting promos, betting advice, make sure to head over to thegameday.com. You're going to find everything.